Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suke Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatali Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayade Giram Yat Kripadamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinutari Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Eshwaram. So today the chapter is titled Purushottama Yoga. And we said yesterday there are two Purushas, two enjoyer. The word Purusha means enjoyer. The Jivatma is trying to enjoy this body by manipulating matter. And there is one more enjoyer within you called Paramatma or Bhagavan. He is also the primary enjoyer. But before we begin the 15th chapter, which has only 20 verses, just like the 12th chapter, let us look at the 14th chapter. The Bhagavad Gita has 700 verses, of which 100 verses are dedicated to this topic of the three gunas, Sattvagun, Rajagun and Tamagun. So about 100 of the 700 verses are about gunas. So you can imagine how important this topic must be, that Krishna is spending so much time talking about the gunas, because it is these three gunas that are actually keeping you in this jail. So Krishna explains that all of us are influenced by Sattvagun, Rajagun and Tamagun. Sattvagun means mode of goodness. Rajagun means mode of passion, and Tamagun means mode of ignorance. And the word guna, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga was the title of the chapter. The word guna means rope. If you take 3 strands of rope, and braid them together, then that rope becomes very strong. So these 3 gunas color everything that we do in the material. It is so powerful. So Krishna explains in the chapter that our first goal is to bring ourselves from Tamagun to Rajagun to Sattvagun. After we've brought ourselves to the Sattvagun stage, by the time we reach the end of the chapter, Krishna then says, we should also go beyond the Sattvagun and come to the state that is called the Vishuddha Sattva state. So it is this Vishuddha Sattva state that acts as a solid foundation for you to practice spirituality. Shuddha Sattva or Vishuddha Sattva means pure goodness. Sattvagun means goodness. But Shuddha Sattva means pure goodness. That is, how do you come to that state of pure goodness? In this state, the Jivatma will offer everything to Krishna, and therefore there are no more karmic reactions for their work. Any work that they do, if they're doing it for the pleasure of Krishna, then there is no more karmic reactions. That's why Krishna tells Arjuna, I am telling you to fight, I am telling you to kill. There is no sin for those who are performing their duties. And there is definitely no sin for those who are doing it for my pleasure. That means if you want to go back to the spiritual world, then you should bring yourself to the Shuddha Sattva state. What is the problem with Sattva Gun? The problem with Sattva Gun is that the maximum benefit you'll get is you'll go to the upper planetary systems. But then you're still in the material world. You're still in jail only. It's just that your jail cell becomes luxurious. And the other thing about Sattva Gun is that once you go to the upper planetary systems, once you exhaust all of your punya karma, then you have to come back and take birth in the middle planetary systems, the earthly planet systems. So one day Prabhupada was traveling somewhere, I think in UK or somewhere, in the car, and there was a major traffic slowdown. And the slowdown in traffic was because the road was being repaired. And there was a sign that was put up. Even in India, we see these signs. Inconvenience regretted, road work going on. So Prabhupada saw a sign that said, temporary inconvenience, permanent improvement. That was the signboard saying, temporarily you are in trouble because we are reconstructing the road. But if you're patient, then permanently the road will be in perfect condition. Just give us some time. But Prabhupada, this is how you know an acharya is an acharya. They look at that signboard and they immediately, Prabhupada looked at that signboard and changed what it said. Prabhupada looked at his disciples and he said, the material world means temporary improvements, permanent inconvenience. So temporarily you may think, oh, my situation is better than it was a few months ago. But you don't realize you have permanently inconvenienced yourself because you've not made any effort to go to the spiritual world. So that means even being in Sattva Gun is not enough for you to go to the spiritual world. You first have to establish a relationship with Krishna. Now, some additional points I wanted to make is the three modes determine your mood. So the modes determine your mood. Sattva Gun determines your mood. Rajagun determines your mood. Tamogun determines your mood. So Krishna is talking about the importance of understanding this knowledge, because if you understand this knowledge, then maybe you will develop the conviction and faith that this is what you have to do to overcome it. Yes. So let us say if you go to the doctor and he prescribes you some medicine, and let us say you've injured your leg, and the doctor is going to suggest a certain set of exercises for you to follow and to practice. So he's going to tell you these set of exercises you must perform in case you want to get better fast, if you want to develop the muscle strength or whatever it is the problem is. Then the doctor may also give you options. He will say out of these 10 exercises, if you don't have time to do all 10 every day, then at least minimum these 5 you must do every day if you want to return back to good health. Now, why would a good doctor take so much trouble to explain in such detail to a patient? Because otherwise the patient may just disregard the instruction and do whatever he wants or do whatever he feels like. So when a doctor takes the trouble to explain the set of exercises or the medications that are given, why it needs to be taken, which medicine is for what is the frequency with which it should be taken, before food, after food, a good doctor will explain all of this to you so that the patient understands the instructions and is able to follow it. So similarly, Krishna is taking the trouble to help us understand the gunas in approximately 100 verses across the Bhagavad Gita. Of course, this particular chapter 14 is titled Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. But Krishna is saying, if you understood what all I'm telling you about how these 3 gunas control you, and I'm also telling you how you can overcome its influence, then you will develop the conviction to do the right thing. So the whole 14th chapter is telling you how when consciousness comes in contact with matter, which is the spirit soul comes in contact with matter, the interface for experience is the 3 gunas. So Krishna is saying these 3 gunas are so subtle, you don't even understand that it is happening to you. It just happens. So say, for example, 3 people are traveling in a bus and they are going through some beautiful green forests and hills. One person sitting inside the bus is thinking, oh, this forest is so beautiful. It is so peaceful. Another person is simply busy with his phone and he is thinking, well, this forest would be nice if I had a nice partner, then I could probably enjoy myself in this forest. The third person is sleeping in the bus. Some people have their wonderful ability to fall asleep the minute they get into a moving vehicle. Usually babies fall asleep, but some adults are also very, very adept at falling asleep the minute they get into the vehicle. So the third person is fast asleep. He is thinking, if the bus stops, I can sleep nicely in this forest. So the same forest, 3 different people under the influence of 3 different gunas and their response to matter. So you see how the same matter has brought out different thought processes in 3 different individuals. So therefore, Krishna spends a lot of time telling us we shouldn't get ourselves too comfortable in this material world. We should not be complacent. He is giving us all of this knowledge so that we can make progress beyond where we are today. And that is the connecting principle to today's chapter. In today's chapter, you will understand why Krishna was speaking about the gunas and why specifically he spent so much time talking to us about how the 3 gunas actually control us. So you can understand through these three gunas, Krishna is trying to tell you, first you understand what kind of vehicle you're driving. Vehicle means this body. This body includes the mind and the intelligence. Some of us are driving a BMW, some of us are driving a Maruti 800, some of us are driving a bullock cart. Krishna is saying, first try and understand what kind of car or what kind of vehicle you are in. First, learn to drive that vehicle well. Because that will bring us maturity. So essentially, Krishna is telling us the solution for us is self-discipline. First, we need to learn how to ride this body, how to manage this body. Once we have this self-discipline, then we can get to that stage of self-discovery, which means first you drive the car the best that you can. The second stage is you discover what kind of car you are driving in. Essentially, first learn how to manage this body, mind, and intelligence. Then, through introspection and contemplation, you can understand what kind of mind you have, what kind of intelligence you have, what kind of senses you have. Because you, as in the spirit soul, has to live with this body. Your whole life, this particular lifetime, you are forced to live with this body, with this mind, with this intelligence. None of which is you. Therefore, self-discovery is an important aspect of your spiritual journey. So, in today's chapter, home or hotel, and what's the difference between home or hotel? Now, in the 13th and 14th chapter, Krishna has described the material world and how troublesome it is, how bothersome it is. Now he will give you a glimpse into the spiritual world, how beautiful it is, what happens there. And then Krishna is going to tell us he's maintaining you, he's maintaining the material world, he's maintaining the spiritual world. Just like we read the Chatushloke Gita in chapter 10, in verses 8, 9, 10, and 11, here we're going to come across the three Shloke Gita. The Gita summarized in three shlokas, which is 16, 17, and 18. So the essence of the Bhagavad Gita from a Vedantist standpoint, not from a Bhakti standpoint. The Chatushloke Gita was from a Bhakti perspective, love for the Lord. This is more from a Sankhya Yoga perspective, for a Jnani to understand. Krishna is again summarizing the Bhagavad Gita in three essential verses. Okay, what do you see here? It says home or hotel. Which is better for us? Where would you rather be? Would you like to live in a 5-star hotel or would you like to live at home?
Home, Mataji.
Home? Okay. Anybody wants to live in a 5-star hotel? Nobody? Okay. So now tell me, what is the difference between this hotel and home? What is the difference? What's the difference between home and hotel? Okay, so there is a comment saying home is a permanent place. Hotel is not ours. Very nice. Home is a place where our loved ones are. Very nice. What else?
Permanently, we cannot stay
Ah,
in five-star hotels.
permanently, we cannot stay in five-star hotel. Why? Why you permanently cannot stay in five-star hotel? If you're paying the room fee, they'll allow you, no? Why we cannot stay in five-star hotel? If I can afford it.
But then also it is not ours, no, Mataji.
Then also it is not ours. Okay. Now imagine I'm going somewhere on vacation. I go to the five-star hotel. I start putting up my family photos on the wall. I bring my tulsi plant into the hotel. I bring all my personal belongings and set up my hotel room. What would you say about me? Would you say I was very intelligent? Or would you say I'm mad? If I start decorating the five-star hotel room as if it was mine, what would you say? Something is wrong with me, right?
Yes, Mataji. Yes,
Something is wrong with me, right? If I start decorating the hotel with all my personal belongings.
yes, Mataji.
Yes. So similarly, this body is temporary. It's like a hotel. This material world is like a hotel. But all of us are making arrangements like as if we're going to live here forever. Isn't that the truth? What do you think?
Yes.
We're building homes. We're buying jewelry. By the way, tomorrow, Akshaya Tritiya, many of us will be buying jewelry tomorrow because apparently it's very auspicious. So every plan that we make it like as if we're going to be here forever. Are we crazy or not? That's the question.
Yes, Mataji.
So if we know we're not going to be here permanently, why are we making so many plans? That is what Krishna is asking us in this chapter. He's going to tell us, have you forgotten your real home? Your real home is with me. I am your family. Krishna says, no, Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. I am your best friend. There's nobody better than me for you. So essentially, Krishna is saying, why are you crazily trying to stay here? Something is wrong with you. But Krishna is also so kind because he's acting as our attorney. He's ready to fight on our behalf. So he's going to tell us how to go back home. Not only that, can you exit a hotel without paying your bills? Will they allow you?
No.
Which hotel will allow you without paying the bills? Since Krishna also owns the hotel, he also owns the home. He clears all your debt that you owe the hotel owner. Who's running this hotel, by the way? Who's the devata that is overseeing this hotel?
Krishna. Devata.
Which personality is responsible for controlling us in this hotel? Who's the boss in this hotel?
Krishna is.
No.
Maya Devi.
Maya
Durga.
Devi. Durga Devi is the prison superintendent here. So she's not going to let you leave without paying off your debts, your karmic debts. So let us say, by the way, I don't think I explained this, how karma actually works. Let us say there is something called prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma means, let us say you have a account full of your karmic reactions. Every birth you withdraw a little bit and take birth. Little bit happiness, little bit distress. Little bit punya, little bit papa you withdraw. Okay. So let us say you have 100 points of karma. In this birth, you have withdrawn 5 points and another 5 points of papa and punya. Okay. So at the start of this birth, you had 100 points in that account. You withdrawn 5. 90 points are left. For you to finish those 90 points, you have to take so many more births. That only Krishna knows how he has organized that for you. So if you want to go back to the spiritual world, who is going to make those 90.0? Who's the only personality who can do that? That means you owe a debt of 90 through multiple births you have to take to pay off all of your karmic reactions. Who's the only personality who can make that 90 0?
Krishna.
So Krishna is informing Maya Devi, I am clearing my devotee's debt. Don't disturb him anymore. So when you become a devotee of Krishna, you are no longer under the control of Maya Devi. Otherwise, Maya Devi is going to extract your punishments from you, or your punishments through your karmic reactions. So what you're born with is called prarabdha karma. That 90 points that you have, still, that is called sanchipta karma, which means that your bank balance is there, for which you have to take birth again and again. You keep withdrawing. Now, you know what the only problem is? Okay, I have withdrawn 10 points and taken birth here, but in this birth, I am depositing some more, so that 90 becomes 120. So now do you understand? Going to a hotel and trying to design it, dress it up, and make sure like it is yours does not make sense. So therefore, Krishna gives us a glimpse into the spiritual world to tell us, here is your real home. You're supposed to come back here. Give up all of this. Become my devotee. I will take you back. But to take us back, your debts have to be cleared, including the karmic reactions you have freshly created in this life, for which you will get the fruit somewhere down the road in a future life. Krishna can wipe out your sanchipta karma as well as your current life, whatever you're supposed to experience, even that Krishna can change. All you have to do is become his devotee. So since we know we're not going to stay in the hotel for long, at some point we know we need to go home. Through the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is reminding you of where your home is so that you start thinking about home. Somebody asked, Cyclically, can we not just automatically all go back to the spiritual world? No, you have to have the desire and you have to make an endeavor to go back home. Then Krishna will help you. So this material world is like a hotel. The spiritual world is our real home. And this chapter is all about how to go back to the spiritual world. You don't need to stay in this hotel. So how does Krishna begin this chapter? Shri Bhagavan urdhvamulam adhashakam ashwatham prahuravyayam chandamsi yasya parnani yastam veda sa vedavid. Krishna is beginning with some kind of a riddle. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upwards and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. So this is not a shloka that is very easy to understand. So we have to use an analogy, because Krishna himself has used an analogy, but we'll try to figure out what this really means. Essentially, Krishna is saying, if you see that particular tree on the right-hand side, its image is reflected in the water. So the real tree is the spiritual world. The reflection of that real tree in the water is the material world. But we keep acting like as if the image is the real thing. We have forgotten that the real tree is on the bank of that particular water body. So our problem, the Jivatma's problem is, whatever it is that we are interacting with in the material world, there is no truth to it in the sense that it is temporary. Your suffering is temporary, your happiness is temporary. Your achievements are temporary, your family members are temporary. In this life, whichever family you were born into, those are all temporary relationships. Therefore, the reflection is not real, but it points to the existence of a truth. For example, you can only say there is darkness because there is the sun. The concept of darkness does not exist without the sun. So the sun has to exist in order for you to claim that there is darkness. So similarly, the reflection can only exist if the real thing exists. Therefore, the real thing is the spiritual world. The reflection is the material world. The material world only exists because the spiritual world is there, and the shadow of the spiritual world is actually the material world. So it's like you see beautiful, ripe, sweet mangoes dangling on the tree, and you're searching for it inside the water because you can see the reflection of the mango in the water. And you're constantly wondering why I can't pluck it. Why am I not able to pluck it? Why am I not able to pluck it? That's because you're so foolish, you don't realize that the mango is actually on the tree, which is on that land. So this is the Jivatma situation in the material world. That is what Krishna is using this particular shloka to say, because the material world is not real, it is called Maya, that which is not. That means our enjoyment is also not real. Our real enjoyment is coming from the spiritual world. So what do we do? So Krishna is saying the best way to save yourself is, first of all, understand what is your real ID. Your real ID card is there in the spiritual world. You've left it behind and you came here. So by attaching yourself to Krishna, you can detach yourself from this Maya. Again, if you're attached to Krishna means automatically you're detached from Maya. If you're attached to Maya, automatically it means you're detached and disconnected from Krishna. Which means Maya Devi only exists as long as Lord Krishna is there. The minute you turn your face, Prabhupada says, towards Krishna, then Maya cannot trouble you. The minute you turn your back to Krishna, then you are dealing with Maya Devi, with Durga Devi. So the first thing we have to do, Krishna says, get rid of this notion that you can control anyone, anything, anybody, any circumstance. You can't control anything. So don't try to be the enjoyer and the controller of this hotel, because the hotel does not belong to you. We saw this picture once before, the difference between the spiritual world. You see Golok Vrindavan here. You see Vaikuntha planets here. Below that would be Mahesh Dham. Below that would be Devi Dham. Then if you come to the material world, there is Brahma Jyoti on the outside. In the Karna ocean is Karna Vakshay Vishnu. Then inside each one of these little Brahmandas is Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And then within each one of these Brahmandas are 14 planetary systems. Planetary systems, not 14 planets. Planetary systems. And within each of the planetary systems are Jivatmas. Therefore, the choice is clear for us. Where do we want to be? Are we planning to permanently settle here? Because it's not possible. So instead of trying to permanently settle here, we should make our way back to the spiritual world. So hence Krishna begins to talk about the spiritual world that is so beautiful that all you're doing in the spiritual world is enjoying yourself with Krishna. So the spiritual world is a lot of fun. It's blissful. And you're happy being a servant of Krishna. So as long as we understand we are always the servants, that's the real designation, then we'll go back to our master. So sometimes we think, if only my husband were more mature. If only he earned more. Or if only my wife was like this. If only my child was like this. We always think our life would be better if only. If only my siblings were kind to me. If only my family members were understanding. Similarly, that's not just with family. Even in the workplace, the owner is thinking, if only my worker would work a little bit harder, I will be happy to pay him more. And the worker is similarly thinking, if only my boss would pay me more, I will be happy to work harder. So essentially in the material world, nobody is happy. Nobody is happy with anyone. Nobody is happy with anything. That is because we all think we are the owners. We have forgotten that we are just sevaks. So it is better to give up your temporary job here and go back to your permanent job that is waiting for you in the spiritual. So if somebody has a pet dog, the owner thinks, I am the boss of this dog. Whatever I ask him to do, he will do. And the dog is similarly thinking, I am the boss. See how nicely the owner is taking me out for a walk every day. How nicely he gives me a bath. How nicely he puts food in my bowl. How nicely he picks up and cleans up after me. If I pass urine or pass stool, the owner is hurried up, coming, picking up things after me. So the dog is also thinking, this owner, I am the boss of this owner. Owner is thinking, dog is my servant. The dog is thinking, owner is my servant. So we need to understand that this is our nature. We always think we are the boss. Actually, we're not the boss. So we have to discover what is the difference between Krishna and us, what is the difference between the spiritual world and the material world. So here you can see Krishna and Balaram eternally enjoying themselves with the cowherd boys in Goloka Vrindavan in the spiritual world. That's all. You know what is Krishna's full-time job? He doesn't have one. He is just happily grazing his cows and having fun with his cowherd friends. This is actually what Krishna is doing in the spiritual world. He's relaxed. He's having fun. Because he's having fun, all of us also have fun. Even the animals are happy to serve Krishna. They are always experiencing bliss as long as Krishna is around. Even if you read passages from Srimad Bhagavatam of Vrindavan, the animals love Krishna, the birds love Krishna, the trees love Krishna. Everybody is anxiously trying to serve Krishna. So much so in one passage I remember reading when Krishna and Balaram were walking through one of the forests, it said that the trees were bending down, waiting for the Lord to touch them. That's all, they wanted the Lord to touch them. And they would experience such bliss. The bees were always hovering around, or are always hovering around Krishna's mouth and his lips, because his lips are so sweet. The bees think that is the flower. That's where I get my honey. So even the birds and animals are enjoying with Krishna. It's not just that the human beings are enjoying with Krishna. Even Yamuna Devi is waiting for Krishna's sparsh. So therefore, when Vasudev crosses the river, it is said that Yamuna Devi rises up because baby Krishna's tiny little lotus feet were dangling over the basket. And Yamuna Devi thought, oh, this is my chance. I may never get this chance again. Of course, she does get the chance again and again because Krishna always is frolicking in the Yamuna River. The same Yamuna River is there in the spiritual world. The same Govardhan hill is, Giriraj Govardhan is there in the spiritual world. The same Vrindavan that we see in India is there in the spiritual world. Because all these pastimes are taking place in the spiritual world. Now Krishna is explaining to us, we may not be able to fully understand how Krishna is explaining the spiritual world because we don't have the intelligence to understand. We don't have the capacity to understand. So here Krishna is saying, na tat bhasayate suryaha na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Krishna is saying that supreme abode of mine. Which supreme abode? Goloka Vrindavan in the spiritual world, which is the highest of the spiritual worlds. That supreme abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. So Krishna is giving you the first hint. The spiritual world is so beautiful that once you enter it, you will never come back to the material world. So that's a guarantee that Krishna is giving you. In the Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma has composed these shlokas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discovers the Brahma Samhita in the Adi Keshava temple in the border of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. If you go to the temple, there is a beautiful Vishnu And unfortunately, only the 5th chapter was recovered. So we only have the shlokas composed by Lord Brahma about the spiritual world, describing the spiritual. In one such verse, Lord Brahma is saying, Chinta mani prakara sadma sukalpa vriksha laksha vriteshu surabhir abhipalayantam Lakshmi sahasrashata sambhrama sevyamanam Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Govinda means the master of the senses. Govinda also means one who pleases the cow. Govinda also means one who pleases the cowherd boys. Govindam Adi Purusham, meaning Govinda is the first Purusha. And I offer my obeisances to you, O Govinda. So every verse ends with Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Chintamani Prakara Sadmashu Kalpa Vriksha. You've heard of Kalpa Vriksha? That Kalpa Vriksha is there in the spiritual world. Whatever desire you have, it can fulfill. You want mangoes, it'll give you mangoes. You want grapes, it'll give you grapes. Whatever desire you have, this Kalpa Vriksha in the spiritual world can satisfy your desire. Lakshmi Sahasrashata Sambhrama Sevyamanam. In the spiritual world, Lord Brahma is saying, Lord Krishna is served by millions and millions of Lakshmis, not one Lakshmi. He's always being served. So why would anybody want to stay here if all you have to do is go back to Krishna? That's because we've lost connection with Krishna. So all we have to do is re-establish our connection with Krishna. It is not that you were never connected to Krishna. You always had a connection with Krishna. It is just that you've forgotten. That means bhakti is not new to you. Millions of births prior to coming into this material world, you were performing bhakti in the spiritual world. That means bhakti has always existed because you have always existed. Simply Krishna is reminding you, Mamayvamsho Jiva Loke. Krishna is telling you, you belong to me. Don't you know that? Mamayvamsho, Krishna is taking personal ownership for you. So how do we go back to Krishna? So once a king went hunting into the forest and his young son wanted to come with him. And the king told his son, it's too dangerous a place. I will be there for many days. It's not a one-day trip. It's not safe for you. You will be scared. There will be so many violent animals there. It's best that you stay home. But the child was adamant. So the king takes his son very reluctantly. And as they go hunting, along the way, the son gets separated from his father, the king. It is night time, and the king is thinking of his son. Where did he go? Where did he go? Where did he go? And the other soldiers who had accompanied the king on his hunting expedition told the king, it is not safe for you to look for your son right now. When the day breaks tomorrow, we can search for your son. So very reluctantly, the king does not go into the thick dark forest to look for his son at night time. He decides, okay, let's wait till the morning. In the morning, they search and search and search, and they're not able to locate the son. And this goes on for several days. So what can the king do other than assume that his son is dead and he goes back to take care of his kingdom? Although he really does not want to leave the forest without knowing what really happened to his son. So one day, many years later, somebody was traveling through the forest and they come across this young man who was looking totally disheveled. He was looking more like an animal than a sophisticated human being. So he speaks to him and he says, do you know who you are and how come you are in the forest? And he discovers that this is the king's son. So after decades, they find the king's son still living in the forest. So this person who has come into the forest tells the lost son, I know where your father is. I will take you back to him. And the person tells him, your father is very wealthy, he's very powerful. There's no need for you to continue to stay in the forest. He can take care of you very nicely. All you have to do is return home and I will take you home. So the father is overjoyed to see his son who was lost. For so many years, he thought certainly his son was dead. And he's overjoyed. He embraces his son who he had missed for so many years. So in this story, the king is Krishna. The son is the Jivatma. And who is the person who takes the son back to the king? Who do you think that is?
Guru?
Spiritual master.
Spiritual master. So that is what the spiritual master is advertising to you. You're Krishna's child. Don't you remember? I will help you go back to Krishna, but you have to hold my hand and follow my instructions. If you follow my instructions, then you will be back with your father. So that is the role that the guru plays in our life. They connect you back with Krishna. And they guide you back to the spiritual world. So our real identity is that we are servants of Krishna, and the only way we can be happy is when we go back to Krishna. And when you, because Krishna is saying, Mamaivamsho Jiva Loke, so Krishna is saying, you belong to me. So you should also think, I belong to Krishna. And since I belong to Krishna, I want to go back to Krishna. So here Krishna is saying, Shariram yadavapnoti yachapyutkramati shvaraha grihitvaitani sanyati vayurgandhani vashaya. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another as the air carries aromas. Thus he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. Krishna is explaining how you keep changing bodies in the material world because you've forgotten Krishna. So this is the transmigration of the soul. In this life, you've got a human form. In this life, you are born as an Indian. In this life, you are born in middle planetary systems. In next life, everything will change. Your relationships will change, your looks will change, your body will change, everything will change. Only one thing stays constant, and that is the soul. But Krishna is saying, because we have so many desires, we keep taking birth to try and fulfill those desires. So this is the reincarnation way. We don't want to keep changing bodies like this. We want to take our spiritual body back in the spiritual world. And Krishna now tells us how He maintains all of us and everything. Kama vishya bhutani dharayam yahamojasa ushnami chaushadhi sarvaha somo bhutva rasatmakaha. I enter into each planet and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. So Krishna is saying, without me, this planet cannot float. Okay, imagine how heavy every planet must be. How it is floating like a piece of cotton in the air. Somebody must be doing it, right? So how is that done? Even the orbit, planets are not running into each other every single day. They're all staying in their orbit. Who's keeping them in their orbit? Krishna. The taste of the vegetables and fruits, Krishna is saying, comes because of the moonlight. And the moon is me. And because of me, you are getting the taste in the fruits and vegetables. So essentially, Krishna is saying, every little detail in this material world, I am taking care of. First of all, the ocean water has to evaporate. That evaporation turns into condensation that becomes clouds. The cloud then gives us fresh water rain. But the Lord is so scientific, so creative. He has stored the ocean water through the means of making it salty. And every once in a while, the water will evaporate and then we get it as non-salty rain. And the land gets nourished. The people living on the land get nourished. So in a simple example that we've just used here, Krishna is saying, I take care of everything. Yadaditya gatam tejaha, Krishna is saying, I am the light of the sun. Gama vishya cha bhutani, I maintain all of the grihas, planets. Pushnami chaushadhi sarva, the juice, the taste of the vegetables is coming from me because I supply the moon and the moonlight. Aham Vaishnavaro Bhutva. I am the digestive fire. That means Krishna is saying, even the food inside your body, how do you think it is getting digested? Some people have a very weak digestive system. Some people have strong digestive system. Krishna is saying that fire, that Jhataragni, that's me. I am helping you digest your food. Pranapana samayuktaha pachamyannam. Even the food that is digesting, you need the digestive fire, and Krishna is saying you also need the air to go in and out. That also I am only taking care of, Krishna. So Krishna is getting into such minute details that we never even thought of. So now you understand how much Krishna is doing for you. You think you're doing anything, your heart beating, Krishna is taking care of. Blood going around the body, Krishna is taking care of. You don't, think about it. You didn't create this factory model. Krishna did. So he's taking care of the machinery. The awareness that we are dependent on Krishna for everything makes us extremely grateful and humble. So knowing how much Krishna is doing for you should be easy for us to surrender to Krishna, because without Krishna, we would not be alive. So there is a preacher who was giving pravachan, and he said, you know what? God knows everything and God takes care of everything for us. He loves us so much. He's constantly taking care of us, supplying for us everything that we need. Somebody was listening to this lecture and he was thinking, yeah, What does this preacher know? All these preachers do the same thing. They talk about God, 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 God. Does he not know how hard I have to work to put food on the table of my family? What does he really know about God? He's just sitting on Vyasasan and just talking. That's all. He doesn't understand how hard I have to work for a living. So this was a person who was breaking stones. And one day he breaks a rock. And from inside the rock, a small frog jumps out of a little hole in the rock that had a little bit of water in it. When he sees this frog that was inside a rock, looked like it was trapped inside a rock, yet the Lord was taking care of that frog. He understood, yes, indeed, the Lord is so nicely taking care of so many jivatmas. If I need 2-3 kilos of food every day, the elephant needs tons of food every day. The Lord is taking care of me. The Lord is taking care of the elephant. An ant may need just a grain of rice. Even that, the Lord is supplying. So if the Lord is taking care of the animals, will he not take care of you? But we struggle so hard. Can you imagine? Animals don't have this concept of inflation, where food prices keep going up and up and up and up. They never come down. They don't have to worry about it because they're not greedy. But we human beings have made our lives so complicated that every year, if the price of everything keeps going up, no matter how much you earn, it will not be enough. So therefore, Krishna is saying, why are you working so hard for what? You work enough to supply your basic requirements. Rest of the time, you should be endeavoring to come back to me. You should be doing your bhajan. Not only is Krishna maintaining the universe, he is also maintaining our mind and soul. How? Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtaha matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedaischa sarvairahameva vedyah vedanta krit veda videva chaham. Krishna is saying, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come memory, knowledge, and forgetfulness. I am to be known by all the Vedas. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedanta and the knower of the Vedas. How much Krishna loves us. He gives you memory or remembrance. That memory which is important for you, if you've performed some bhakti in your previous life, then Krishna helps you remember that so you can continue with that in this life. Similarly, Krishna makes you forget all of the stupid things that you did in your past life so that you have a fresh start in this life. One of the reasons Arjuna gives as to why he does not want to kill all of these people is that he doesn't want to torture them. He wants to be kind and compassionate to them. And Krishna says, do you even know what kindness and compassion is? When an evil person is allowed to continue to do evil, it is better that they put to death, because through the process of death, their evil doing comes to an end. And in their next life, they will get a fresh start. But if you keep allowing them to do evil things, imagine how much they have to suffer in the future. Therefore, adharmic people in certain circumstances should be put to death. Because through the process of death, their sinful ways are coming to a stop. In the next life, they may have a better chance of changing their life around. So in this way, Krishna is so kind to all of us. So even if we forget what evil things that we have done, that's because of the mercy of Krishna. Imagine carrying all your memories from life to life to life. It will be a horrible situation for us. So whatever you need to forget, Krishna makes you forget. Whatever you need to remember, Krishna makes you remember in your next life. So one of the best ways to get in touch with Krishna is by reading Shastra. Books like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. The way the Bhagavatam was written is actually very interesting, because Srila Vyasadeva compiles all of the Vedas with the help of his students. And he doesn't feel very happy. He's not satisfied that he's compiled all the Vedas. The only reason he puts it in writing is because he knows in Kali Yuga people will not have the memory or the intelligence to remember any of these things. Therefore, he has to write it down. So all of this was written for Kali Yuga Vasis. So his spiritual master Narada Muni comes and tells him, see, the reason you're unhappy is because you have misled the human beings. You've written so much in the Vedas on how to enjoy yourself materially. You've not focused heavily. I mean, the very small portion of the Vedic scriptures, you focused on the Upasana Kanda, which is to worship the Lord. But 80% you're trying to tell the people, if they do this puja, they will get that. If they do that puja, they'll get that. So Narada Muni chastises his disciple, Vyasadeva, for not at all describing, glorifying, or talking about Krishna's pastimes. Because in the Vedas, there are no pastimes, only rules, regulations. Hearing this instruction from his spiritual master, Srila Vyasadeva decides, yes, I will write the Srimad Bhagavatam. And the Srimad Bhagavatam is all about the glories of Krishna and the glories of his devotees. So Narada Muni gives an instruction to his disciple, and the disciple writes the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we've been talking for 15 days about chanting, reading, offering bhoga, honoring prasadam, keeping Ekadasi fast, worshipping Tulasi Maharani. But throughout our class, we have emphasized chanting. This mantra is called the Panchatattva mantra. And these are the Panchatattvas, with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the center, who is non-different than Lord Krishna. To the left of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or to his right, in the blue, is Lord Nityananda Ram, who is non-different than Lord Balaram. To his right, with an elderly looking personality there, that is Sri Advaita Acharya. And he is non-different than Sadashiva. And to the left of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in pink is Gadadhar Pandit, who is non-different than Srimati Radharani. And to the left of Gadadhar Pandit is Srivas Acharya, who is non-different than Narada Muni. So this is called Panchatattva because the Lord is there, his expansion is there, his incarnation Advaita Acharya is there, his Shakti potency Srimati Radharani is there, and his devotee Sri Narada Muni is there. These five together are called the Panchatattva. So before we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it is very important for us to chant this Pancha Tattva mantra. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabho Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasadi, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Because whatever mistakes that you make when you're chanting the holy names of the Lord, by chanting the Pancha Tattva mantra, all those mistakes and offenses will be removed. Tomorrow is Akshaya Tritiya. As I said, it's an auspicious day. Many people will go hunting for jewelry, but we prefer spiritual jewels. So I have a challenge for you, which we will post in the WhatsApp group. My challenge to you is as follows. It is said that any spiritual activity that you begin or you commit to on Akshaya Tritiya, it will grow and it will be fulfilled. Therefore, I'd like to invite all of you who are ready to do this to make a commitment to chant a certain number of malas every day and to come and hear Harikatha during the morning hours. Tomorrow, we will be beginning a new series about different devotees praying to the Lord and learning from their prayers and the mood in which they pray. So there are innumerable stutis in Srimad Bhagavatam. And we are going to begin with one of the stutis tomorrow, which is Arjuna Stuti. We will be doing these series maybe for the next, I don't know, year perhaps. So that means you will get introduced to Srimad Bhagavatam every morning. So join us, not just for chanting every day in the Brahma Muhurta time, but also to hear Harikatha for around 15-20 minutes, and then you can begin your day. So details we will share with you. And in addition to those who are ready to take a sankalpa for chanting and reading and hearing, you can join us in the evening via Zoom. We will have live darshan of the deities, and you can take an oath to chant and read and start practicing some amount of Krishna consciousness so that you can begin your spiritual journey on a very auspicious day, because the Lord is always pleased with spiritual desires. He's very quick to fulfill your spiritual desires. He may not be as quick to fulfill your material desires because he knows certain material desires are not good for you. It's not going to help you spiritually. So I'd like to request all of you to kindly join us tomorrow morning. Again, I will post the details in the group. Now, each yuga has a particular way by which you can go back to God. Chanting of the holy names was done in all yugas. Can you think of somebody who was reciting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya in the forest? Who was doing that? A young boy.
Dhruv Maharaj.
Dhruva Maharaj, yes. Narad Muni comes to test him. When he's upset with his father and his stepmother, he says, I'm going to run away, I'm going to find God, and I'm going to demand that I get a better kingdom. Bigger even than my grandfather. At that time, Narad Muni comes into the forest and tells Dhruva, you are only 5 years old, what are you doing in the forest? Your parents are looking for you, your dad is distressed. Please go, now is not the time to do any meditation and all. Dhruva Maharaj gets upset with Narad Muni. He says, look, I am serious about my pursuit of the truth. If you can help me, please help me. Otherwise, I will continue to search for the truth. Narad Muni was so impressed. Such a young boy, so committed to finding the Lord. At that time, Narada Muni gives him the mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You chant this all the time, you will see God. See, Narada Muni comes as guru for so many personalities. For Prahlad, for Dhruva. So, in every yuga, chanting the holy names was important. However, there are designated ways in which you can reach the Lord in different yugas. So there is a shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam. The 12th canto, 3rd chapter, 52nd shloka goes like this. Krite yadhyayato vishnam tretayam yajato makhaihi dvapare paricharyayam kalau tadhari kirtana. Whatever result was obtained in Satya Yuga by meditating on Vishnu. That means in Satya Yuga, what is the best way to go back to the spiritual world? By doing meditation. On whom? Vishnu. In Treta Yuga, by performing sacrifices. That means yajnas. And in Dwapar Yuga, by serving the Lord's lotus feet. That means worshipping the deities. In Kali Yuga, that same benefit of meditating on Lord Vishnu in Satya Yuga, or doing fire sacrifices in Treta Yuga, or worshipping the Lord's lotus feet in the Dwapar Yuga, all of that can be achieved simply by chanting Hari Kirtanat, means the names of Lord Hari. That's all. You only need to chant the holy names of the Lord. You will go back to the Lord, guarantee, at the end of this life. But you should do it like as if it's an emergency situation for you. You should not say, no, I'll wait. So we don't know how long we're going to live. So when we do something for others, we expect them to praise us. But when others do something for us, we think it's their duty. Isn't that the truth? And the Lord, on the other hand, does everything for us without any expectation. Therefore, you can call the Lord's love for us unconditional. He loves us more than we love him. But then we treat God like as if it's his duty to take care of us. Yes, of course it is his love for us that makes him want to take care of us. So coming to the Tri Shloka Gita, the 3 verses that summarizes the Gita from a Jnana Yoga perspective. So these shlokas are for Jnanis, it's not for Bhaktas. So the 16th shloka, Dvavimau Purushau Loke Ksharaschakshara Evacha Ksharas Sarvani Bhutani Kutastokshara Uchyate. There are 2 classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible. And in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. Krishna is saying there are 2 types of jivatmas. The Nitya Baddhas and the Nitya Siddhas. The Nitya Siddhas are eternally in the spiritual world serving the Lord. The Nitya Baddhas have fallen into the material world. That means every jivatma in the material world is a fallen jivan. Of course, exceptions being pure devotees and acharyas. So that's the first shloka. Why is Krishna saying there are only 2 types of jivatmas? One that is always liberated, one that is always conditioned and punished. Why are you punished? Because you want to enjoy yourself. You don't want to serve Krishna. Why are you liberated? Because you always want to be with Krishna. You never leave the spiritual world because you're happy to be with Krishna and serve. So in the second of the Trishloka Gita, so now Krishna has talked about 2 different types of jivatmas. One that is eternally liberated, and one that is eternally fallen and suffering. Uttamah purushastvanyah paramatmetyudahritah yo lokatrayamavishya bhibatyavyaya ishvarah. Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. So Krishna is saying, besides these two categories of Jivatmas, there is one more personality. You notice Krishna is talking in third person. He's referring to Vishnu here. He's not referring to himself. He says that imperishable Lord who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. So Krishna is talking about Paramatma. So there is Nitya Siddha, there is Nitya Baddha, there is Paramatma. Okay, what else? In the third shloka. Yasmat ksharamati aksharaadapi chottamah atosmi loke vede cha pratitaf purushottamah. Because I am transcendental beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the highest, I am celebrated in the world and in the Vedas as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the word Purushottamaha is coming in this shloka. Krishna is saying, I am Purushottamaha, the topmost of Purusha. The Vishnus are considered to be the Purusha avatars of the Lord. But Krishna is saying, I am Purusha Uttama. I am higher than them. Therefore, I am the one who is being celebrated in the Vedas. I am the one who is called Bhagavan. So Nitya Siddha, Nitya Baddha, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Krishna has summarized the entire Bhagavad Gita in these three shlokas for the Jnanis. So you notice that this is just a logical, analytical set of shlokas. No mention of love. No mention of service. Just facts. There is a Nitya Baddha, there is a Nitya Siddha, there is a Paramatma, and there is me, Bhagavan. Done. Bhagavad Gita is over in these three shlokas. Yes? So there are two more shlokas after this, but we ended with the Trishloka Gita. Any questions or comments or realizations? So the essence of Gita is we are all conditioned because we are existing in the material world. Paramatma is taking care of all of us very nicely. Bhagavan is there in spiritual world enjoying himself. So the question is, do we want to go home or do you want to extend your stay in this hotel for some weird reason? Yeah. All right. So tomorrow's Akshaya Tritiya, I will post a message in the group. Just read the message carefully. Join us in the morning for chanting and Harikatha or some shlokas. And then join us in the evening to take a sankalpa that you will chant and read regularly every day. Make a commitment to Krishna. Tomorrow is very auspicious. All right. Any other questions about this chapter? No? Okay. So we'll... Okay, the question is, what if we take a sankalpa and on some days we're not able to do, then you have to make it up on the following day. So let us say you have taken a sankalpa that you will chant one round or one mala every day, and you will read 10 minutes, one shloka a day of Bhagavad Gita. For whatever reason, if you miss it today, then tomorrow instead of doing one mala, you'll do 2 malas. Instead of reading just one shloka, you'll read 2 shlokas. That's all. So you'll not break the sankalpa. Yeah, there are certain days, certain things may happen, and you may not be able to maintain it on that particular day, but you can make up for it on the following day. Is that okay? Okay, so if you take the sankalpa, can you do it any time of the day? Yes. I would like it if you do your chanting in the early morning, but if for whatever reason you're not able to do it, it's better to chant than not chant.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Krishna.
What else we can do on tomorrow on Akshaya Tritiya?
There is no special puja or worship. Maybe you can make something nice for Lord Krishna and offer it to him, and then honor that as prasadam. You can do that. You can worship Tulsi Devi nicely. Yeah. Akshaya Tritiya is also the day that all the ISKCON temples will start offering chandan to the Lord. So they'll put chandan on the forehead, and then on weekends, the entire body will be covered with chandan of the deities. So it's a good time to go and take darshan of the deities in the temple also. Okay. All right. We will see you tomorrow. I'm looking forward. I'm anxious to see how many of you will join in the morning for chanting in class. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Shri Gauranitai ki jai. Thank you very much, devotees. We'll see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.